Part 1. Shadows behind the curtain across the endless land of the Soviet Union. Beyond the propaganda and parades, there existed places no outsider ever saw. They called them orphanages. At least, that was the official story. But those who walked through their doors often felt something darker. From the street, these buildings blended with every other grey block of the empire. Concrete, gates, glass fractured into sharp teeth. But step closer, and the silence thickened, heavy like wet wool. Inside, the air carried whispers, muffled sobs, and the kind of stillness that presses against your chest. Corridors stretched like veins, lit by bulbs that buzzed weakly, each one threatening to die. Beds lined up like soldiers, blankets thin as paper. Winters howled through cracks in the walls, and the cold became another torment the children could never escape. For them, life was not childhood, it was survival. Part 2. The enforcers the adults placed in charge were not chosen for kindness. They were chosen for loyalty. To the children, they were wardens, not caretakers. Names and faces blurred into shadows of authority. Punishment was ritual. One mistake, a stolen crust of bread, a whisper after curfew, could end in a beating staged for all to see. Food was withheld not from scarcity, but as a tool of control. Hunger became both punishment and companion. Medical care was a privilege, not a right. Only the promising children, strong, clever, obedient, were seen as worth saving. The others were left to sickness. Some disappeared entirely, their absence explained by nothing but silence. Were they adopted, transferred, or consumed by something more sinister? No one dared to ask. Part 3. The whispers at night. When lights went out and frost crept through broken windows, stories traveled like ghosts. Children whispered of endless nights without sleep, of needles carrying strange liquids, of trucks arriving without headlights. Doors opened. Small footsteps were forced inside. Engines roared, then faded into the distance. Those who left never returned. Were these tales born of fear or fragments of truth? The archives remain mute, but to many survivors recall the same details, the same patterns. The silence itself became proof. Part 4. Identity erased. The cruelest act was not hunger or beatings, it was the theft of self. Names were stripped away, birthdays forgotten, families erased. Numbers replaced identities. Imagine being 6 years old, already forgetting your mother's voice. Imagine not knowing your last name. Escape was nearly impossible. Those who tried were dragged back, broken in body and spirit, displayed as warnings. Others were locked in freezing isolation cells, left to tremble in darkness until strength gave out. The message was carved into their souls: your life does not belong to you, it belongs to the state. Part 5. Disappearances. Even worse than punishment was vanishing. A child at breakfast might be gone by night. No goodbyes, no explanations, just absence. Some said high-ranking officials took children away. Others believed they were shipped to distant camps, secret schools, or laboratories that did not exist on any map. Survivors remember the sound of heavy doors closing, the shudder of trucks in the dark, and the silence that followed. Curiosity was dangerous, and so the children learned to fear in silence. Part 6. Ruins that remember now. Many of those places rot in silence. Walls cracked, windows shattered, floors buried in dust. Yet those who returned say the air still breathes with memory. Some claim they hear footsteps echoing down empty corridors. Others see shadows move across broken windows. Are they ghosts, or only the weight of history pressing through time? Either way, the suffering has not faded. The buildings hold onto it, refusing to let go. Part 7. Forgotten legacy. The empire has crumbled. Leaders have died. Records are scattered or destroyed. Yet the truth remains locked away. How many children vanished? How many names were erased? How many futures stolen? No archive will tell us, but fragments survive, stories whispered by survivors, ruins that refuse to stay silent, scars carved into memory, and fragments are enough to paint the outline of horror. They called them orphans. They called them wards of the state. In truth, they were the forgotten, the silenced, the unseen. The shadows remember, even when the world tries to forget. Part 8. Hidden files buried deep in government vaults are folders stamped with red letters. Top secret. Inside lie incomplete reports, missing pages, torn signatures, sentences cut short. Those who glimpsed them speak of words disguised in cold bureaucracy. Subject relocated. Subject unsuitable. Subject terminated. The language is clinical. The reality behind it is unspeakable. Part 9. The experiment survivors speak of more than hunger and fear. They speak of tests, of rooms where light never reached, where silence broke the mind. Some were injected with unknown substances. Others were exposed to heat and cold, pushed beyond endurance. There are whispers of attempts to erase memory, to sculpt obedience with chemicals and hypnotic suggestion. The scars live on, shaking hands, gaps in memory, dreams that never end. Part 10. Children of the program. Among the whispers, one name lingers. The program. The strongest, the most obedient, the ones who showed unusual potential. They were taken first. Some say they were trained as spies, others as soldiers who felt no pain, but they never reappeared. As adults, they were absent, erased, as if swallowed by the very machine that made them. Part 11. Silence of witnesses. Decades later, journalists seek answers, but doors remain shut. Former staff refuse to speak. Archives stay locked, and those who dig too deep often meet sudden misfortune. This is not just forgotten history. It is actively buried, and the silence itself becomes a weapon. Part 12. Shadows in the villages. In remote towns, villagers recall strange convoys in the 70s and 80s. Trucks arriving at dusk, leading children into abandoned churches or sealed military bases. The children never came out. Police were ordered to look away. No documents confirm this. Yet the same stories echo across thousands of kilometers, too similar to be coincidence. Part 13. Price of obedience for staff. Obedience was demanded too. Loyalty outweighed humanity. Some confessed years later, their dreams haunted by what they had done. Others simply disappeared. In that world, knowing too much was as dangerous as disobedience. Everyone was replaceable, adults and children alike. Part 14. Echoes of the Cold War. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union raced the West in every field: space, weapons, intelligence, endurance. The orphanages became more than shelters. They became reservoirs of human material. Files suggest attempts to create individuals who could endure radiation, deprivation, psychological breaking. Experiments soldiers might not survive, children were forced to bear. Part 15. Unmarked graves in forests near some institutions. Locals speak of mounds of earth, unmarked, uncounted. Attempts at excavation were blocked. The rumors say these were graves. Children buried without names, without prayers, without records. The silence of the trees became their only witness. Part 16. Survivors speak. A handful of voices have broken the silence. Their memories are fractured, but they converge. They describe steel doors, men in white coats, and nights of sudden disappearances. Many hide their names. Even decades later, they live abroad, still afraid that shadows from the past might find them. Part 17. Leaks from the archives. Sometimes, fragments slip through. A photo, a page, a memo smuggled out. One shows children in identical uniforms, standing like soldiers, eyes hollow. Another captures a sterile room labeled psychophysiology, with no explanation. Each leak raises more questions than answers. Proof scattered in pieces, too incomplete to silence the doubt, but too chilling to ignore. Part 18. What still hides. Though the empire is gone, the secrets remain. Somewhere, sealed in vaults or hidden in ruins, lies the truth of those erased children. Until those records open, we will never know the full weight of what was done. But the buildings stand, the whispers spread, and the forgotten children still wait in the dark. Part 19. The final question: why? Why children? Why the most vulnerable, in a state already drowning in power? Was it ambition, paranoia, or something darker? The belief that human suffering was simply another resource to be exploited. No one has answered. Perhaps no one ever will. But the question lingers, heavy as the silence in those abandoned halls. Part 20. The unfinished story finale. History records what power allows, but silence holds what power fears. The children taken, the futures stolen, the shadows left behind. They are not just forgotten. They are wounds that never closed. The walls crumble, the files burn, but whispers move faster than fire. They live in stories, in ruins, in the uneasy creak of an empty hallway. And somewhere, behind locked doors or buried beneath the earth, the truth still waits. Until someone opens that door, the story remains unfinished. Until then, the shadows remember. Until then, the forgotten children whisper. And if you listen closely, you might still hear them.